All right. Got chat up, got music, got, I think, everything else sorted. So great. Now let's take a look at my work. Oh, hey, how's it going? Turn down the stream music a little bit. You know, it's been going. Uh I got my video homework done this morning, and honestly, it's been kind of all go all day. Uh Had a few urgent tickets earlier and have been trying to strategize on one of our new customers who don't really have any developers on staff. And our product kind of requires having some sort of developers on staff. So it's been interesting trying to think through like how can we help them? How can we help them be successful when they don't really have all of the resources that they need to be successful? So that was my morning. And then this afternoon's been pretty calm. Had a couple of customer calls that I mostly just sat in on and listened. And now I'm about to get started on a ticket that I started Friday, but haven't had the time to really do a deep dive since then. Uh, so yeah, so pretty good. How has yours been? Nice. That's amazing. It's really exciting when you can regain mobility like that. I know that right before the pandemic, when I had started going to yoga regularly, that was huge for increasing my ability to be mobile. Um, and that really improved my health and happiness overall. So I'm really glad you're getting some mobility back as well. I hope it continues to go that way for you. I will say, yeah, you got to keep it up though, because I have not, not in the slightest, and I have lost a lot of that regained mobility, and it is a bummer. So I'm hoping this year that I can really kind of focus on my physical health some and try to move that forward as well. But got a lot of plates spinning. We'll see how it goes. That's good. I'm really glad. Uh, yeah, it's nice that they've been useful. I know it can be hard to like go to physical therapist itself, but there's a lot of information out there that you can grab, and I'm really really glad to hear that the information you're getting is helping you out in that way. Yeah, that sounds like a really good goal. I would like to be able to do that myself. I feel like, I started working remotely 7, 8 years ago, something like that at this point. And working remotely really kind of reduces the amount of steps you take every day, right? I went down from an average of about 10,000 steps to 2,000 steps per day. Um, Something like that. That was the last time I counted, which was many, many more years ago. And since we do have kind of a homestead situation, I probably get a few more steps than that, but still, like, it's a pretty big reduction. Um, and I would also like to be able to walk like 3 to 5 miles, like without like winding myself, like that'd be really great. Oh, heck yeah. That's really great. Is this the first time that you're learning to drive, or is this kind of also a relearn thing? Okay, yeah. So it's relearning, but uh absolutely, I definitely understand. It's one of those skills that just kind of arose over time, but with a bit of practice, you'll be back on top of it. I'm really glad that you have a friend who's, that you're able to trade fire cider for driving lessons. That's really excellent. Yeah, I don't blame you for not wanting to like learn to drive in the city or anything like that because that's a whole nother level of stress beyond just trying to relearn to drive in general. I'm really glad you have so many people willing to help you out though. Like it definitely sounds like your support network is a lot more robust than what it was where you were before. So that's really great. Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier to learn at 30 to 40 miles an hour than 55 to 75. Yeah, absolutely. 300,000 to 1,200. That's a significant difference. It's got its pros and its cons, but after living in very different size populations throughout my life, I'm down for the smaller populations these days. I'm too tired for city living, and you don't have space to like do things. I know exactly what you mean. I'm really glad that you're in a place that you can ask for help now. We're finding ourselves also in the ability to ask for help a lot more. And you know what? It's really nice. Gosh dang video reactions. I told you to go away. I told you to go off. Stupid Macintosh never listening to me. We're trading pet sitting uh, with our friends here locally soon. And I'm really excited for that because it means that they'll pet sit for us first. And then, we get back into town and then they leave and then we'll be pet sitting for them. And that seems like a really nice way to go about things. Define spring. Like, I want to say spring's like in March, but like that's the rainy, cold spring, and that's going to last throughout April probably. So I think like when I'm thinking like weather that I'm excited to go out and be in, uh, that'll be May. And I agree, reliable pet sitters are definitely hard to find. Fortunately, we've focused more on making friends with reliable people, more so than we've focused on finding anything specific. So that's helped a lot. Spring. Yeah, I don't think we'll be planting stuff out in the garden until May or maybe late April. I'm not entirely certain. Oh, this is. I'm being silly. Hmm. I'm definitely itching to get out there and work on the garden some more. Like, I'm still. Like, my last project that I was working on is like mulching the yard. I really want to mulch a lot of the yard, if not all of the yard. Um, because that's going to help me really feel comfortable to like go out there and build infrastructure and try to like plan paths and stuff. I don't know if that's really a reasonable goal, but like that's where my brain is focused. I really want to go out and do that. But I am excited for us to also go out and plant things and just work outside in general. And I'm hoping that, maybe since we do have some portable equipment and stuff, that I can go out and stream outdoors and do that sort of thing too. Because I'm just off my hotspot right now. So if I can do that inside, it should be even easier to do outside. Yeah, even with our own yard, like I have difficulty imagining it in my mind when we're talking about trying to do things. So often, me and Ash will have a little bit of difficulties in terms of just trying to figure out what we're talking about. But that's one of the reasons that I wanted to get into like video production. And this is very much maybe a little bit of overkill when I could probably just go out and sketch it. But this is just kind of the way my brain is working, is that if I can videotape it and if I can use a little bit of drone footage and if I can do some like drawn on editing over the video, it'll be a lot easier for me to like really picture it and also to convey the ideas that I have in my mind to other people. So that's that's honestly been a lot of my goals for when I've been learning editing through doing other things and when I've been learning video production through other things. Um, whether it be Minecraft stuff or anything else, I'm really just trying to learn how to convey ideas. So uh, I'm hoping that this year will be the year that I can at least do some rudimentary forms of that, where I can, go out and be like, yeah, so this is where we're looking to do some things, and I want to build like a little cottage garden here, and it's going to look a little like this, and do all those sort of things. So having those visual cues and those visual aids, I think, are really helpful. True, true. Though my problem is usually not having enough, like shorts are not the format for me, I think. I am shall we say verbose, which is one of the reasons that I've decided to start with live streaming things, because it's just easier for me to kind of like rip off the cuff than it is to try to condense my thoughts down right now. And like I do want to move in that direction, but it's about practicing and just practicing being in front of camera and talking in front of a camera and trying to parse my thoughts even live, because that is something that I struggle with a whole lot. Honestly, that's one of the things that I'm practicing through the professional development program at work, is figuring out how to just slow down and think a bit more while on camera. It's all part of the process. I'm just taking it as it comes because there's nothing else to do. I honestly didn't even realize that TikTok could have 10-minute videos. I haven't really explored TikTok at all. I usually see TikToks that are then like taken from TikTok and placed elsewhere. Uh, so yeah, I had no idea that was a possibility. It's okay to over explain things. Like, honestly, I think a lot of people, and I'm thinking of Maya's workshop. So Roots and Refuge is Jess and Maya. Maya has his own channel now, which is like woodworking. And he was talking about how he felt like he was like really over explaining the simple stuff. But from like an outside perspective, like I want him to explain more, like the thoughts and processes behind everything, and just kind of like why he's choosing this material over that material or choosing this style of cut or whatever else. It's it's really nice to get that background. Not like, I mean, it's not for everybody. Like it's not going to produce the neatest tutorial video. But depending on where your audience is or anything else, it can be really nice. Yeah, yeah, and that's true with gardening, and that's true with a lot of other areas too. So, I always try to keep the beginners in mind. I don't know where people are at unless I'm making things like specifically for someone. I'm mostly in a position where I've like read about things a whole lot more than I've actually done things. Um, and this is true in pretty much every area of my life. So a lot of what I need to figure out is how to put everything in practice and just learn from actually doing. I feel like with a lot of gardening, even with a lot of these new styles, like you don't have to get it perfect. You can kind of combine and move things along. And, as Jess often says, like plants just want to grow. So they're going to help you out as much as they can. Hmm. It's saying that I'm not proxied. That doesn't seem right. If I disappear, if my stream ends, I'm okay, but it's because I'm futzing with my internet settings. So I'm just telling you right now that I might have to stop and restart. We'll see, but I'm gonna just try to fix it. Hmm. Yeah, I tend not to listen to people who are going to be very authoritarian in general, but especially about things like gardening. Um, yeah, like there's no reason to try to be mad at other people for doing what they're doing. And like there are probably benefits and detriments to different styles of gardening, but also if they work, they work, you know? I'm definitely someone who's like, maybe we should put less chemicals on things like insecticide and fertilizers and stuff. I try to stay away from that because I do find that it's probably harmful to the environment. But I'm not also gonna like go to my neighbors and be like, hey, you're using fertilizers, you're using pesticides. Don't you know that's gonna kill everybody? Because I don't really find that to be an effective form of evangelism either. I'd rather show off my garden. And if it's better, if it's worse, or whatever else, I can just be like, yeah, this is what I did. This is what I learned from it. Take it or leave it. That's just how it goes. Hmm. Yeah, that's great. I mean, all of those things should be very good at being able to replace Miracle Grow. I'm a big fan of compost, but also I'm just a big fan of mushrooms. So it's nice to be able to, utilize what you're using already and put it out in the garden. I honestly want to. So we've got this big pile of wood chips, right? That's what I've been using to wood chip the whole property. And what I'd really like to do is to get some spores from like North Spore or something like that for some wine cap mushrooms, because they're supposed to grow really well and really easily. And you can put those spores into like a solution in one of those like yard sprayers. And by solution, I mean water and a little bit of molasses. Um, and then you should be able to just kind of spray it across the wood chips everywhere along the garden and get wine caps growing out of it. And wine caps are very easily identifiable. There's not really common lookalikes, so it should be a fairly safe thing to put out there and know what to harvest. So uh, I'm kind of hoping that when that breaks down, that'll actually be really good for our soil overall, in addition to kind of what we have for the garden. Nice, nice. We had a bit of a worm farm once. And it was good. It was indoor and worked out just fine and everything. But I'm really interested in the types of worm farms that you can have inside raised beds. And not like the bought ones, but just like taking a bucket, putting holes in it or whatever, and just having it in the garden. Um, to where you can pop your food scraps and everything inside that, and the worms will come out of the garden and into the worm thing and eat it and take it out, and the nutrients will then flow along with that. I really want to have some of those built-in systems to like retain water and all those other sort of things, so that the systems are closer to the garden and requires less um, regular maintenance on my part. Because the thing with ADHD is like my memory is not that great. My follow through can sometimes not be that great. So I want to invest in systems that help me with that, systems that really kind of run on their own and are better when I'm attentive to them, but also don't necessarily need me. I think if you're interested in that type of worm farming, I think I have a video that might talk about it some. Will's a helper over at the Roots and Refuge Farm. He has his own channel, which is a very different style, but he does some like changing of, I think, an old refrigerator or something into a worm farm. Oh, I thought he did. Yeah, I'll see if I can find it when I'm not working on other tickets, and I will get that sent over to you because I'm sure that'll be somewhat useful. Yeah, that's very reasonable. Use the resources that you have. I know not all worms are necessarily supposed to be the best for worm farming, but again, if you have them and you don't have to ship them in, you're not introducing a new species to the soil where they already live. Great. Utilize what you got. Right. Do, 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 do. Nice. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, even if they're not the best, they're there. So why not try using them? Because you can always, add different worms later or whatever else too if it's not working for you. All right, I didn't find the video that I was explicitly looking for, but I'm going to put it another video that looks like it's the same concept in the gardening and homesteading channel. So you will get that. Why the heck is this not working? I thought the ticket I was going to be working on was going to be difficult because I hadn't looked at it in a while, but I didn't really think that the difficulty I'd be facing was just like getting access to the site so I could look at it. And this is definitely a problem on my end. My colleague is able to see it just fine, but we have this proxy system that's supposed to provide us advanced security, which is excellent. It's great. I love it. No complaints in general. But there are times like this where I'm connected to the proxy. I can see I'm connected to the proxy. It shows it right in the corner that I'm connected to the proxy. But my browser says, no, nope, no, you're not, which is really annoying. Yeah. Oh yeah, excellent. So you already have plans for that? That's excellent. You gotta let me know how they go. As I said, most of the things I know about are really in theory for me because I haven't spent a lot of time doing things so much as I have reading about them or learning about them in other ways. So yeah, I'm excited to hear. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. We need to redo our irrigation system as well at some point. Uh, and I really kind of want to, like, this is a longer term plan because I don't have the money for this and I don't really even know how to go about doing it. But I'd really like to run a underground pipe from our well out to the garden so that we can actually just have water at the garden. Um, Because like right now, it's just a series of hoses that is connected from an outside faucet all the way down to the garden, and it works and it's fine. But like especially for preparing for winter and everything else, like I'd like to just be able to turn off the faucet right there at the garden and not unhook a ton of hoses. Nice. Yeah, rain collection system would be really nice too. What you gonna grow in a hydroponic system? Anything fun? It sounds like you've got a lot of plans. It's nice when you're able to kind of combine those things and those different perspectives. Like Ash and I have some differences when it comes to our gardening styles as well, but I think they mesh well. And we can obviously help each other out with the different things that we're doing. Nice. Nice. Is this like has he done hydroponics before or will this be his first time setting one up? I have like again, more of a reader than a doer. I've got some books on it, but I've never actually like set up a system myself. Yeah, that's fair. I can understand like making some decisions based on what will sell or what won't. Um, we're not planning to do any like market gardening or anything like that, or even selling of our own produce. So it's really just figuring out what we want to eat and what we want to process and like what we can. So, hmm. Oh wow, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Last year we had a lot of animal damage, a lot of pest pressure, but that's okay. I mean, it was a bummer at the time, and I'm sure that we'll have more of it this year. But I don't know. Like, it's really just kind of learning about it for us. I'm not, as I said, like we're not market gardening, so we're not like relying on it yet. I'm just trying to learn how to grow things before we need to rely on it. Uh, and trying to just get better every year, that sort of thing. Nice. Well, it sounds like you all make a great team for it. Well, I'm glad that it hasn't turned out into disappointment or anything. You know, gamers run the whole spectrum. I would consider myself a gamer as well. Uh, but I'm probably different than a lot of them out there. I don't know. It's nice to have a mix of interests. It works in Chrome, but not Firefox. I don't know why. It's the same settings. It's got the same setup. I try not to use Chrome very much at work because like it's fine, but it's also, you know, eh, it's only fine. I prefer to use Firefox. Hi Kayla. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the stream. You know, life has a way of being absolutely surprising. Absolutely. Yeah, Firefox is still around. The Mozilla Foundation is still going just fine. Uh, I mean, it helps that it's being funded by Chrome as well, but you know, it's still there. It's surviving. It's still kind of like a leader in some of the free open internet space. New sub, new sub. Well, great. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful. Honestly, a lot of the tech that like we were used to when we were younger is still around, even if it's not the most popular. Like not all of it, but like some things have been even recreated. I think there's like a new Winamp clone out there. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid or a teenager, like I loved using Winamp. It was great. You miss having a Vista PC? I mean, I've heard that the later updates of Windows have really kind of gone downhill too. But I remember when Vista came out because I was working tech support at the time, and Vista was a trip. Let's just put it that way. It was one of those things that like we got access to it first at our job or like early, right before consumers did, and it was very much like the early prototype for a lot of the new like Windows 10, Windows 11, those sort of things, because it was trying to make it slicker and less like Windowsy. But like I don't know, Windows 7 was like the last good Windows that I care about. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you. Uh, I don't know. I don't have the most consistency right now. I'm still just kind of getting started up and again. So I don't know that I'm underrated so much as underproducing. I think that once I get into the habit of actually doing things a bit more regularly and everything else, it'll be a lot easier to build an audience, so to speak. We'll see. I'm looking forward to doing some future streams where I'm going to teach people things like how to use WordPress and how to use other open source technology. And I'll probably also do some Minecraft streams here and there because that's 90% of my life, open source and Minecraft. So there you go. Stuff? Yeah, I mean, it had so much malware in it. What sort of stuff did you like from Vista, though? I don't blame you for trying to avoid 11 too. I'm also trying to avoid 11 as long as I can, but that's also because I'm trying to avoid Windows as long as I can. You know, I got my first developer machine, like my first MacBook Pro way back in the day, and I was like, I can't give this up. This is great. So, you know, I'm glad we have another Minecraft lover. Definitely check out, I mean, I don't know where I'm pointing, but definitely check out some of my other videos that I have on Minecraft. I've been trying to learn how to make better Minecraft videos. I only put them out once in a blue moon right now because the editing process, especially while I'm still learning, is lengthy in addition to the actual like building and creating process and everything else. But we've got a community Vault Hunters server that we're running right now, so I'm going to try to possibly stream that tonight if my computer can actually handle both playing the game and running the stream. So, uh, look, Kayla, I don't think anyone cares if you can spell or not. Like, you know, no, no shade or whatever, but like I can't spell worth shit. So, why should anyone else? All that matters is that we can communicate, right? How's the music balance, by the way, between like my talking and just kind of the background music? I have no idea if they have any of those abilities. I assume that they probably do have those things to change the theme. I mean, I changed the theme on all my Windows machines before Vista, so I'm assuming that they've kept it in there, but I haven't had to mess with it, so I don't know. I bet Google could tell you though. It doesn't sound dumb. It sounds like uninformed, like in the sense that you don't know. And that's perfectly fine, right? Uh, there are always ways to find out things. It's what the internet's for. I did not have pancakes today, but I did see that Solidarity Gaming did a pancake stream. I'm in the US and we don't, as far as I know, have the same like pancake day. So, I didn't realize that you can't hear the music at all. Can you hear that? You know, it's hard to know when I don't have like the monitoring. Like I don't hear what you all hear in the same way, and I kind of wish that I did. It would make it a lot easier for me to understand the sort of balance for things. And I know that's something that can be like set up and everything with time. Uh, right now, I just have monitoring through my microphone, so I can at least like hear myself. Huh. Well, I'll have to figure out the music at some point. Thank you. Thank you, Suntoast. You know, I used to be much more of a boxy eyeglass person or whatever, but I found that like, you know, for the emotional tone side of things, uh, it was too hard. It was too rigid, right? And like that was kind of the intent when I first had my glasses. You know, I was a kid, I was being bullied and everything, so I wanted to look like sharp. But as I've grown and everything else, like I don't want to be sharp anymore. I really just want to be kind of soft And so when I was like going through my transition and stuff, in terms of like realizing that I'm non-binary and kind of wanting to rethink about my vibe and everything that I came off, uh, I had some friends who encouraged me to try out different glasses styles and everything else, you know, see if I could get away with something that's a bit more like feminine. Um, and we tried out this pair of sunglasses that were in this shape, and I was like, oh, that's nice. Like that really fits the vibe that I'm going for, which is a little bit more open, you know? And you know, it's got the open shape, but they're also large. And so now I have both these and also a really cool pair of sunglasses that I particularly love that are prescription sunglasses, but are also mostly round and they're gold framed and everything. I feel so slick when I'm wearing them. I'm probably just really goofy, but I enjoy them. They're great. The better to see you with. Yeah, yeah. I'm non-binary. My partner's non-binary. Most of my friends are non-binary. It's great. Well, I'm really glad. I've thought about experimenting again with glasses, but nah, I'm too lazy for that. And also, like glasses prices, like I know that you can get them from a little cheaper places and everything, but oh, glasses prices are so much. So in terms of favorite colors, I don't really have like one, but I have kind of a set of four, which is like a very fall, like I like maroon, I like burgundies, I like mustard yellows, you know, those sort of things. And I usually have like a black to go along with it. Those are kind of the colors that I use for my custom Converse that I've been wearing forever and have just completely destroyed. Um, that's kind of generally like my wardrobe and my vibe and everything else. So, oh, nice. That's smart. I probably should have something to hang them onto my head because being as kind of like front heavy as they are, they definitely like to fall off on me. Like especially these. My sunglasses not so much. They hold to my head a bit more, but this one absolutely they do. Sure. Yeah, you can make me some chains. I ain't gonna say no to that. Oh, those are really cute. Little danglies. That is rough, Sun Toast. I am so sorry. Uh you're not. You're not disgusting because you're a lesbian. Some people just don't get it, I guess. You know, and I'll tell you what, like, my dad told me that he would disown me if I came out as gay. Also, he said he'd disown me if I got tattoos and piercings. And you know what? Fuck them. Because, I don't know, like, a lot of these things, they're just things. They're just part of what makes us human. And the human experience is, believe it or not, quite diverse. And if I'm being honest, if anything's disgusting, I think it's telling your child that they're disgusting. Like, right? That's not a good way to be. So yeah, that's a real pain. Hopefully over time they come around. I don't know what age you are, but you know, I'm in my 30s, my mid 30s. And I will say, like, I had a long period of separation from my family, and I'm still separated from my dad. Kind of. We talk sometimes, but not very often. I talk with my mom every week, so, you know, there's a bit of a difference there. But you know what? My dad accepts me for who I am now. Like, it's not like I'm hiding my tattoos from him. You can't hide this, right? I'm not hiding my queerness. I'm not hiding my polyamory either. Like, it's just a part of who I am, and he can take it or leave it. And so far, he's just kind of neutral about it. So that's great. Eighth grade, eh? That's it's a tough time. It's a tough time, but you'll make it. Things will get through there. Question: what's the difference between having a crush and finding someone attractive? I don't know, man. You tell me. Like, uh, I feel like a crush is a little bit like a minor obsession. Like, it's kind of like a infatuation, a constant thought, without really like knowing someone. Like, I feel like that's kind of a fundamental feature of a crush, is like you feel like you know someone, but you don't actually know someone. Like, you really, really, really like someone, but like you're not really keenly intimate with them on like a personal level. And I know this because I've gone through a lot of them myself. Like, that's definitely kind of what I think a crush kind of boils down to. But I feel like finding someone attractive is part of it, you know? And not necessarily finding someone physically attractive, but finding them attractive in any way. Their voice, their physical, their how cute they are, how funny they are, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, right? Like, when you find people attractive, you can be like, ah, yeah, that person's nice, and then you just go on with your day, and that's just kind of a thing. But like, if you're thinking about someone absolutely constantly, that's probably more of a crush. Also, if you're autistic, there's uh, it's possible to have a special interest in a person in kind of a similar way to a crush, but somewhat different. Um, and that's even more of like an obsession, but it's just kind of a thing. Hmm. Well, I got bad news for you. I don't think there's chosen ones. Like, just in general. I think we choose people ourselves, and I think that we can kind of build a relationship around that. But there's no mystical twin flame thing. There's no mystical, like, the one. I mean, people are just people. Uh, I think that there's definitely a possibility to see the divine in people, right? Like, I'm not trying to demystify people, but like, people are just people. Yeah, this water's all right. It's just water from our well, and I think our well water is honestly pretty good. I'm just really trying to stay hydrated because I'm not very good at that, but I want to get better at it. So, water. And especially when I'm on stream, when I'm talking a bit more, I tend to get thirstier. So, definitely good to have water with me. I should have my big water bottle, but it's not clean, and I need to clean it. I'm definitely going to make sure that I clean it before I use it because I don't need the scumminess in it. So, until then, big mug. When things work out, it's nice. Absolutely. I will say that, like, I can't tell you when you know that things are going to work out. Like, I was with someone for 13, 14 years, something like that, um, before we ended up getting divorced and never talking again. So, your mileage may vary. I think, a lot of times it's really important to figure out just who's going to work out, like, in the moment. And, like, I don't mean that to sound very ephemeral or anything, but, like, love the one you're with, right? If you're going to choose to be with someone, if you're going to hang out with someone, whether it be friend, romantic, whatever else, like, love the people in front of you. Not for what they could be in the future, not for what their potential is or anything else like that, but, like, who they are now. Appreciate them for who they are now. Happy early Valentine's Day. Yeah, I would say that's true. Like, again, like, I don't put any sort of mysticism behind the soulmate thing, but, like, there are people that you vibe with, and there are people that you're gonna vibe with more than others, and you're gonna vibe with them some at some points and not so much at other points. And you know, we're all visitors through this life, right? Y'all are doing a really good job of keeping me entertained today. I didn't expect to have so much chatting going around, but I really appreciate it. You're asking me some interesting questions that I haven't thought about in a very long time. Well, I don't know if it's the one that's playing right now when I'm speaking. This is Nice Colors by Kahai Dreams and Atwood. The last one was Lost in You by Kahai Dreams. I'm playing the Chill Stream DMCA free playlist on Spotify, mainly because I saw it had a bunch of Lily Pichu songs in the beginning, and I absolutely love Lily Pichu. She's such a great composer. Um, and it's good for a nice, like, chill time, right? Yeah, I mean, human relationships are complex, right? It's all about a little bit of give and take here and there. Uh, there is always going to be a component of you got to accept people for who they are, right? And I don't mean that means that you have to accept everything about them, but, like, when you look at someone, right, you can't expect them to change or, God forbid, think that you can change them. That's unlikely to be true, right? Um, but people do change. People do grow over time. Like, that's absolutely a thing. And, I think we often grow in conflict with one another or in harmony with one another. Like, we do grow alone, but we grow differently when we're exposed to other people and that sort of interaction. And a relationship, like, it's very good, or it's very important to be able to like work with each other where you're at and to try to grow together, to try to turn towards one another. Um, and it doesn't always work out, but I think, if you know things about emotional regulation, if you learn things about communication and you try to communicate like authentically and honestly and not hide things, and if you try to turn towards each other, like, if someone's having a bad day and they come to you, listen to them, or, if you're having an issue, try to not jump to conclusions and try to work it out with them in that sort of way. Um, those are all really the basics of making relationships work. The Gottman Institute is actually pretty good at talking about a lot of those fundamental traits that, or skills, I guess, not really traits, because traits is something that you think of inherently, whereas skills are something that you can build. And I would say that all relationship skills are skills that you can build, right? Of course, it does take two to tango, uh, or more. So you're not going to be able to solve the relationships in your life all by yourself. But, by doing your best to be an emotionally mature person and a compassionate person and a kind person, it'll get you a long way. Yeah, beach vibes, absolutely. I can see that. These are definitely all songs that I'd love to kind of like chill outside to in the warmer weather that is not quite here yet, but hopefully soon. Hello, Vlada. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, respect is so key. And having respect for people definitely means like different things for different people, but still, it's so important. It's absolutely important. What's the harsh truth? Like, if you mean that the world sucks, I don't know how to tell people that, especially not kids. Like, I don't know, I went through all sorts of existential crises from really early on to forever, so hi Top Hat. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, each person's truth is very different. I think, a lot of telling the truth is about telling the truth with compassion, you know. Uh there is something to be said for being authentically true to things, but like, I don't know, you don't have to like break someone's heart immediately. All right, cheers, Suntoast. Thank you, thank you. I'm sure I will have more live streams as well. I'm definitely trying to do this more often, and since people are hanging out, I'm definitely going to do this more often. This has absolutely been great. That's a great question. People say that respect your teacher, but what if the teacher doesn't provide good education or morals? Like, I understand. I've been in that situation a lot. And I think the answer is that, like, you can respect someone as a human and not necessarily as an educator, right? Like, they don't have to, like, your brother doesn't have to go out of their way to, like, be mean to their teacher or anything like that. But also, like, you can recognize that, hey, this person isn't necessarily teaching you the best things. So, take what you can and find other places to learn the rest. Whether that be, like, if they're not teaching good things, find someone else who can teach better. Books are great. There's Crash Course on YouTube, all that sort of stuff for learning different topics. Like, there's never going to be a single source of truth for that sort of thing. Or, if you're the older brother in that situation, like, make up the gaps, right? The best you can, or provide them with resources, or teach them how to find their own resources, that sort of thing, right? Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying, that you can, like, say to him, right? Like, he can respect a teacher without obeying them necessarily, or even, like, learning everything that they have from them. Like, respect doesn't necessarily mean that, like, a lot of people will say respect me when what they really mean is obey me. And that is two entirely different things. And, like, I know I'm coming at this from an anarchist perspective because I am an anarchist. I don't really believe in hierarchies or those sort of roles, or just respecting authority because they have authority. I believe in respecting people because of who they are as people and the quality that they bring for that sort of thing. But, like, it's just like, you gotta ignore what you gotta ignore. I think, a lot of what you can give is talk about what you do, right? Like, how do you handle it when there's a teacher who's kind of shit? Coping with depression. That's also a really great question. Unfortunately, I do have a lot of experience with that. I've gone through a lot of periods of depression in my life. I think being gentle with yourself is absolutely a big part of it. Having compassion for yourself and not necessarily wallowing in what you're doing. But it's hard. It's hard. And I'm sorry you're dealing with depression right now. It's no fun by any means. I think getting out into nature's nice. Getting sunlight's nice. Going for little walkies. As silly as it sounds, like, getting up and moving your body and having space to yourself for a bit can be very nice. It won't necessarily cure the depression by any means, but it may make you look at other things. And, speaking of looking at other things, I think gratitude's important too. And I know it sounds somewhat hokey, but, like, gratitude is something that really helps you to focus on things that are not negative, right? Like, you can acknowledge all the negative things in your life, and I'm not saying have fake gratitude, but, like, especially, like, I look at nature a lot for this, right? I am grateful for the trees and the birds and the world outside. And by thinking about that, and by thinking about my gratitude for those things, I notice them more. I notice the world around me. And, like, depression has this thing where it isolates you inside yourself, right? Like, it just kind of traps you inside your head. And the more that you can notice the outside world, and that it's bigger than what you have going on inside your head, the less power it has over you, at least in my experience. As I said, your mileage may vary. I think you're absolutely accurate. Position doesn't always bring respect. Respect is brought by the behavior of the person. 100%. 100% true.
But I'll never forget, oh, the ease you put me in. Oh, the sun will start to set as the leaves rise in the wind. And amidst the sea of red, I'll think of the words you said. Oh, and it's hardest in the snow, wondering which way to go. Though the spring will come with time, I have lost this love of mine. If it all just ends today, I think I will be okay. But I'll always wonder if this is how it should have been. I'll never know anything. But wherever you are now, I'll carry on.
I think that's absolutely a great mantra to have. It's important to, keep in mind that things are ephemeral. And, I'm not going to lie and say that things always get better because they don't. But they do only last for the time that they last. Nothing lasts forever. That's a really rough position to be in. It really sucks that your parents are dismissive of how you're feeling in that way. I do know that that is a common perception that people don't necessarily validate those sort of things, but you are feeling what you're feeling, right? That is truth. That's just what you experience. With your friends, if they're truly your friends, I think you should be able to talk to them about it. They may think you're faking, but if they're truly your friends, they're not going to jump to that assumption, right? If they're truly your friends, they're going to want to hear you out. And, maybe start slow. You don't have to jump into the deep end right away with talking to your friends, but I would say take your most trusted friend, open up, and be a little bit vulnerable. It's scary, but it's so important, especially when you're dealing with depression, to have someone that you can trust in that sort of way. And I would say, just even as a general strategy, try to gravitate more to the people that you can be open and vulnerable about with that stuff. And, maybe start distancing yourself from people that you can't be authentic with. Because that's going to be so important for your mental health over time. And I'm not saying drop anyone, right? I'm not saying leave all your friendships and be alone. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying invest more in the relationships where you can be fully yourself, and not just the positive sides of yourself, but also your sadness and your grief. Look, I would say that depression in this world that we're living in, which is particularly rough right now, is absolutely justified and understandable. And that kind of sucks. But also, we've got to talk about it together. We've got to have that space where we can feel our feelings and process them. As a species, we're meant to process these things out loud and together and in community. And so it's important to find the community that you can do that with. The losing interest in most things, that's called anhedonia. I went through that, a few times, but largely in my biggest stint of burnout, where I stopped having interest in doing anything for 3 to 6 months. And it's terrible because it feels like anytime that you try to enjoy yourself, it's just work, right? It's work that's just like pushing you forward to get through and do things. And sometimes, you're just exhausted. Sometimes you're just too tired. I still think it's important to try to make sure that you're talking to people because that's kind of the way through it, right? Even if you're just kind of in misery, just being able to talk about the fact that you're in misery and have someone actually listen to you is really, really important. And if you don't have someone to talk to, or even if you do, putting those feelings into art of any form can be really, really helpful in helping you process and get out into it. Even if you're not like enjoying it, it can be helpful to actually do some of that so that like your feelings aren't just trapped inside you. Anhedonia is hard. Depression is hard. It absolutely is. I'm not trying to minimize it by any means. I hope that you do find your position through it. It can take some time. I'd also say, the therapy is very helpful as well. I've been going to therapy for quite a while now, but I also understand that if your parents are dismissing the possibility of you having depression, getting a therapist is not the easiest thing in the world. So, take that with a grain of salt. I understand that's probably not the position you're in. But therapy's nice because, like, oh my God, the best thing about it is that this person is dedicated to listening to you. And if they don't listen to you, they're a bad therapist and should be replaced. But like, I love having someone that once a month has an hour dedicated to just listening to me and allowing me to chat and process things out loud. Like, that is amazing. And it has been an amazing tool for my toolkit. So
In the shadows of my room, in the corner of my bed, I should have known it happened soon.
the heck?
I had to run, I couldn't go back there again. I guess it just felt empty. I guess it felt like I had lost that part.
Thanks, Mac.
16, at the time I thought my world would fall.
This afternoon has been nothing but technical issues on my end over here. It's just like every time that I figure something out or feel like I figure something out, it's just another thing that's deciding to not work on me. So that's always fun. But of course, I work tech support just for context. So the fact that my entire day is nothing but technical issues is not really that different from my job on a day to day. It's just I want the problems to be the things that I'm actually solving and not the thing that's keeping me from solving the problems. That's a different story. No, I don't think that at all. If a friendship is broken, it was never a friendship. No, that's bullshit. Like, I've had a lot of friendships that have ended in all sorts of different ways, both like just from drifting away, but also in very explosive conflagrations. And you know what? Every single one of those friendships was probably real, like to at least to some extent, It's just sometimes people grow apart. Sometimes things are different. Sometimes something happens and it's unrepairable. But it doesn't change what has happened in the past either, for better or for worse. I think there are definitely situations where people can, pretend to be your friend in order to like manipulate you or do things like that. And those may not be real friendships, right? You might find that someone has been tricking you a long time or something else, but I think those are rare, or at least rarer than just kind of like friendships that don't work out, you know? But, some people are dramatic, so that's just how it goes. It does. Yeah. I will absolutely say that time will make you drift away. And sometimes you can be lucky that like time away, time drifting away doesn't actually matter that much. Like I've got a few friends absolutely that I'm pretty sure I haven't talked to in years, but the moment I call them up, it's just going to be like the last time we hung out, right? That's kind of the relationship freezing aspect of being neurodivergent, not losing that sort of uh, connection over time. But then, like, I had friends in high school that, like, we just went in different directions, and I wouldn't consider them friends anymore, even though we were best of friends back then. And, it's not my fault, not their fault. It's just the relationship wasn't maintained and is no longer there anymore. And that happens. They say that we're only capable of having, like, relationships with like 100 to 150 people at a time. And I'm not talking about just like your friends. I'm talking about your coworkers, your colleagues, your parents, your extended family, your plumber, your electrician, like everybody, right? And your brain's just it's so small. Like in general, in terms of being able to handle all these things. So like you have to put some relationships on the back burner and prioritize other relationships and build those up. I would say, try to keep the relationships where you can be most authentic. Like that's going to be the most important thing as you like age and everything else, especially as who you are as a person is going to change over time.
Life isn't quite what I thought I'd be when I was a kid on VOIP. I thought when I get older I'd marry her, I told her. Now I'm 26 and I work in an office 9 till 5's not the best, I'll be honest. If I could change a single thing I'd make it me and not him. He's in your bed, I'm in your Twitch chat. I've got the key and he's just a doormat. Even though he's got social skills, that doesn't mean I can't pay the bills. Anyway, make the most of him, 'cause she moves on pretty bloody quick.
I've really struggled to have friends my entire life. Like, just in general. There's a lot of social expectations that I just don't really understand. And, when it comes down to it, the way that I have relationships with people, it's very energy intensive. Like, very energy intensive. So it's very difficult for me to focus on like groups of people beyond just a few. So I kind of feel that struggle, but I honestly would absolutely rather have someone like one friend that I can be truly like intimate in myself with than a lot of people that I have to pretend with. Like masking is not my strong suit. Pretending to be socially acceptable is not my strong suit. So yeah. People who I can be real with is very, very important, especially since I can be fairly intense. Like I probably seem a little bit more chill right now, but like get me talking about something that I'm really, really passionate about, and I can be intense. All my coworkers think that, well, I say that all my coworkers think that I'm really intense, but I met some of them in person and they apparently don't think so. So apparently I come off well in text, but I feel intense like all the time. That's a great question. And this is something that I find that, like, in the autistic community, it's talked about a lot, right? Because, like, especially with the intense feelings that can kind of come with being neurodivergent, it can be hard to tell, like, what makes a friend, what makes an acquaintance, what makes any of these other things. And it's just a bullshit category, if I really want to be honest, right? Like all these things, whether it be friendship, romantic, acquaintance, whatever else, like they're just words for concepts that are not as clearly defined, right? Like when we're living our life as people, we're interacting with each other on an individual level. So like I call everyone my friend in a lot of ways, like everyone, right? Because it's an aspirational label more than it is like an accurate label. Like this is my friend. This is someone I want to be good to and someone who I want to be good to me. This is someone who I want to know more and I mostly want them to know me more, that sort of thing. But I can't say that I have like an accurate label on a lot of things because like I know that most of the people I know probably fall into that acquaintance bucket because we don't know each other very well. And that's okay, you know? But I don't want to be going around being like, "All right, that's my friend, that's my acquaintance, that's my friend, that's my acquaintance, that's my enemy." It's not helpful. It's not helpful to me, it's not helpful to them. So I kind of just broadly lump most people that I'm like in pleasant relationship with as my friends. And then I have friends that I'm closer to and more intimate with, and friends that I'm not. What is snow eye syndrome? I haven't heard of that one. Oh, static. Visual static. Ooh, that sounds really rough. I'm not surprised that you hate it. That sounds like living in an impressionistic world all of the time. Is it particularly severe? I would claim that that's a friendship, Damask. Like, you're talking to each other, you're getting to know each other. Like, that's at least some form of friendship. I can't speak to how close of a friendship it is. It might just be an acquaintanceship, but, you know, I don't know that the definition really matters that much because you understand the form of the relationship that you have or had at the time, right? No, you're very welcome. I'm happy to offer what I know or whatever I have from my experience. I can imagine that walking around and trying to appreciate things visually might be somewhat difficult with the snow eye syndrome. I mean, it's still probably worth doing, or at least worth feeling. Like, if you can't see the world around you, or at least not very clearly, it's worth trying to feel the sun, or the wind, or trying to smell the air. I don't I don't know what it's like to live without that sort of visual senses, though. That's always been one of the things that I'm honestly absolutely terrified of. I use so much visually, right? I'm a computer person, right? And everything that I've done has been on the screen. And I've honestly just been very scared of trying to figure out how to still do what I do without being able to see. And I know that there's assistive technology for it, but it's, it's so much of what I love. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Hi, Slim John. Nice to meet you. Welcome to stream. Not too much is going on. We're just sitting and chatting while I try to figure out a support ticket and just kind of hanging and vibing, talking about life stuff. So, what is up with you?
Days gone by, the west coast waves crash up against the shore of a beach I haven't been to, or at least can't remember no more. My love and constitutions, they only get me so far. It doesn't take but one look up to know how hard it is to reach the stars, and I felt my share of loneliness, still feel it now. From time to time I try to get some rest. These issues tend to fade with morning light, but even if my darkness has decided where it stays, I suppose that I will close my eyes and try to find another way. Is it love that keeps me planted here, the fear that something new won't come along if I leave? Either way, I don't know what to do. I've tried my best to figure out those pieces that I lack. Now I feel all that I've lost pulling me back. Oh yes, I feel all that I've lost pulling me back. Seashells on the east coast, find them buried in the sand of a beach I haven't been to, but you said you hope one day I can. All the inspiration
I have not heard After Dark by Mr. Kitty.
they find their way right back to me.
That sounds interesting. I might have to look that up later.
And is it through the regrets or achievements in your life?
Yeah, that sounds rough, Lada. That absolutely sounds a bit rough. I also tried to make music and have failed. That is on my docket to learn again because I'd like to be able to make my own music for streams or for videos or something else like that, even if it's somewhat simple. Like, I think there's value in being able to do it yourself and not just the value of producing something that won't be copyright claimed. Though I admit that is part of my interest as well. But I don't, I definitely failed in my attempts at the moment, but I don't think I've failed at making music. I just decided to do other things and I'll come back to it later and maybe I'll make something, maybe I won't, right? That's just part of being a creator. Oh, I get the worm-like invisible things. I started having those after I was an idiot high schooler. I think only a freshman too. And I took a cord and put it in an outlet and then touched the ends of the cords together and it created this big spark, as of course it would, because why wouldn't it? And I think I kind of maybe burned my retinas a little bit. I don't know. But after that, I've always had these kind of like floaters going around with it. I don't have the static thing going on, but I have those. So they're distracting. They're not too bad for me, personally, but they are distracting at times. Hinkick? Oh, nice. Ooh. I will absolutely have to check this out, Damask. This is exciting. This is kind of what I want to be a part of, is I want to be a part of creators who kind of just like give stuff away for free. Like I want to do the same thing myself. Because like, so one of my big passions is WordPress. That's why I'm going to be doing some streams later about how to install WordPress, how to work with WordPress, do all that sort of things. But the reason that I'm so passionate about WordPress is because like it's built on the GPL license, which is the new public license, if you've heard of that. And basically what it means is that anything that you create using WordPress for like plugins or themes or anything else, like those have to be given away to the community with the GPL license, right? So like anything that you create from those then also has to be given away under the GPU license. And that philosophy is something that really, really appeals to me. Like I think that we're all better off if we're all kind of creating things and giving them out to other people. I kind of think intellectual property is bullshit. So, I know I know there are going to be people who disagree with me, especially because they can't think of a way to make a living if they're giving everything away. And I can't exactly argue with that, right? That has been one of my struggles, is trying to figure out, well, how do I live? But I think it's worth figuring out, especially in a community, right? It's all right. You can talk about your stuff. I mean, I'll tell you if it becomes too much of a problem. I know other people don't like it at all. Um, but like I'm not other people. I'm not bothered by it, at least, not right now. I don't have a ton of viewers by any means, so I don't think you're exactly hogging the floor. If you want to talk about your music, talk about your music. You made music in an hour? That's amazing. I don't care how bad it is. That's amazing. I definitely spent a lot more time not making music than an hour, so. I did watch one of my coworkers. So we went and had this like meetup thing, and as part of the meetup, we have flash talks on things that we're passionate about. And one of my coworkers was like, "Hey, do you want to make a beat?" And like literally in front of us in like 10 minutes went and got into their music editing software and like made a beat right out in front of us. And I was like, this is mind blowing. This is amazing. I love watching people work because like you learn so much more about the creative process when you're watching other people do it than what you can learn through like reading it yourself or just kind of like poking around the program. So that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that a whole lot. I'm really excited, just even from the thumbnails. Hinkick looks really cool. Um, so I'm very excited to look through some of this and stuff. Hey, you're living up to your name. It's not the pixie that's popping, it's the bagel.
the world still fucking love you.
I'm glad you like that.
There's a reason London puts barriers on the tube line. There's a reason London puts barriers on the rails. There's a reason London puts barriers on the tube line. There's a reason London puts barriers on the rails. There's a reason
Oh, hey, welcome back.
puts barriers on the tube.
All right, see you later, Damask. Thanks for hanging out and keeping me company. I'm honestly going to head out here in not too long. My day ends at the top of the hour, so I'll leave so I can make myself some dinner and have dinner and relax a bit. But I might be back later this evening in a few hours because my intent is to play a little Vault Hunters on stream. So we'll just have to see if my computer/internet connection can handle that at the same time. This will be an experiment. So if you're around, you can enjoy experimenting with me. So yeah, that'll be great. Sorry, I know the timing's not ideal for you to be coming back and me being like, well, I'm about to head out sometime soonish, but time is what it is, unfortunately. So, you know. What you got in the way of leftovers? Anything exciting? I think we're gonna be making butternut squash enchiladas. I think that's what we were talking about, so I'm excited for that. Do something a little bit vegetarian.
Fact and the fictions while simultaneously fixing myself up with a girl named Panadol. Like the tablet elixir, disintegrate mouths a mixer. I think I've lost my mind. I think I've lost my mind. If I could just wait one more night, maybe I could wake up and feel
Ooh,
alright.
I want your leftovers. Your leftovers sounds great. Fried potatoes, candied carrots, sloppy Joe mix, pieces of venison, cornbread, and is that fish soup? Nice. That sounds like a feast.
I think I've made my choice. I'm the deceased playing victim. Slit the face of the victory. I think I've made my choice. Sink secluded in hatred. Avoid the plans friends are making. I think I've found my voice. I'm a leech sucking blood bags. Taste defeat is a sandbag sailing solution. Sailing solution to all your sailing solution to all.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a better Valentine's Day dinner than going out somewhere. I don't even know anything about wet aging steak. That sounds great. Is it like soaking in a brine, that sort of thing? Ooh, cheesy garlic bread out of sourdough? Mmm. God, your house has to smell like heaven.
I thought I couldn't love anymore. Turns out I come, but not for the same reasons as before. I use everyone I ever meet. I can't find the perfect man. Abuse those I love, while I ostracize the ones who love me back.
Yeah, definitely do. I'm very interested to hear kind of what your process is and what it does to the steak. This is not something I know about. So yeah, absolutely. Give us a chat in the cooking channel, and I look forward to that.
I feel the way you
Damn,
don't deserve. You deserve the
I
one
definitely want to learn more about this. Heck yeah,
from the same.
I love learning through the community. This is absolutely excellent. All right, I'm gonna call it there. I'm gonna end stream, I think, for right now because I'm getting kind of hungry, and I got a few things to wrap up in my day before I can kind of continue and do the rest of my evening. So I'm gonna head out. Thanks for hanging with me. You all have made this the absolute best. I've really enjoyed hanging out and chatting with y'all. I hope to see you all again. Take care. Enjoy.